Welcome back to another vlog from Bragdeal. My name is Dan Bragg, and today we're going to be covering 5 different areas that you need to make sure you keep in mind when doing website security for your website and making sure it stays up and running all the time. Stick through the whole video to learn about how you can get a free diagnostic for your website. In the past couple of weeks, I've been getting quite a bit of calls and emails about how to make sure that my website stays up and running all the time, how to fix the malware I got in my website, why is my website slower and not functioning right, and most of the answers to those questions are very simple. You have to keep your website updated. In whatever platform you're on, whether it's WordPress, Squarespace, Weebly, doesn't really matter. You have to make sure you're always on top of things. Now, when I say on top of things, I don't just mean update the content. That's one important thing for search engines, but you also want to make sure that the code and the structure of the website is always up to date with the highest version that they have for that platform. For example, if we take WordPress as a topic, WordPress always has new plugin updates, new theme updates, and if you neglect them for a long time, it's almost like a metaphor that I like to use of driving your car brand new from the dealership and then never ever doing maintenance in it. It's bound to get into a problem. And the worst thing is when you have this important meeting, your car breaks down and you can't get to it. Same thing goes for a website. If you never update it, if you never take care of it at all, whenever you have that big presentation or a big client of yours comes to your website, all of a sudden the website don't work. That's because you don't actually take the time to update it. And that's really important. Really, I stress a lot on that for my clients. The website maintenance is a key thing to make sure the security is always top priority. Now that's just the first reason. The second reason is, and I think that number 2 is quite an important one as well, having a password that's not just easy to track. Like for example, 1234 is very simple. You want to have a unique password, one that you don't always use, and make sure that you update it regularly. At least once a month you want to refresh all the passwords, so in case a friend or somebody saw the password, they have no idea which one it is now. The third point that I think is super important is making sure that you have an SSL certificate. Now I'm going to make sure to include a link below as to what I'm talking about, but an SSL certificate is something that you will see on most big websites, for example Amazon, eBay, PayPal. If you go on those websites, on the top near the address bar on the www, you will see that it has like a nice lock green symbol, and that usually subconsciously means that the website is safe. Whether you knew what it is or not, you knew that this website is trusted, you knew that you can go on it, and this is a subconscious association for trust. Now, aside from the trust purposes, it's actually adding a layer of protection to your site, and that can benefit visitors that come to your site in many different ways. First of all, it encrypts their information. It encrypts everything they do on the website so that every action that they do is actually protected with another layer. It adds a layer of protection to your site, so hackers have a harder time figuring out how to get in. If you do a lot of transactions on the site, for example, e-commerce website with Visa information and user information, then this will definitely encrypt all that data and make sure it's super hard for hackers to get into. The other interesting reason you want to have that is for Google and search engines. They really prefer if you have the SSL installed. It makes your site trusted, user-friendly, and therefore they rank you higher. Number 4 is checking the website for vulnerability entrances, such as forms that have information that can be inserted. Usually those forms are one of the key ways for hackers to get in with scripts and enter bad information or erase stuff from your site. So those are things that your developer or yourself, if you know what you're doing, can get into and check into the code, make sure it's fully secure, not allowing the forms to have any kind of commas or any kind of weird exclamation marks, so that way you're preventing any chance of the hackers getting in. And number 5, the last point, is one of the easiest one out of all the rest of them, I think, aside from maybe the password change, is keeping up with backups. The easiest way to prevent you losing information is making backups of your files. Now that sounds like something you already know how to do, and you might do it already, which is great, but for those of you that don't ever back up your files, it's good and a good idea to at least have a schedule once a month or so to take a full backup of your entire website, so that if you ever update something by mistake and it breaks everything, if the website gets malware and something happens, then the easiest way to revert things is to upload the backup files. Now, just because you have a backup from maybe a year ago or 6 months ago does not mean that you're now safe and that won't happen again, because you haven't updated it up to date. So when you do put that backup back on, or if you still have the fresh running version on the website already, you make sure you do what we talked about earlier today, is update everything to the highest standards, and that way you prevent any issues, you prevent any ways to malwares to get in or hackers trying to damage your site. Those are the 5 points that I really highly recommend for you to take care of throughout your website for your business. Otherwise, you might run into issues down the road. It might not happen right now, it might not happen in the next couple of months or so, but it is bound to happen at some point. I've seen it over and over again, and clients that just think that everything's gonna be fine, it's let it run. They think that, okay, I'm not really updating the site, so I don't have to deal with this. It does happen. Just because you have your car sitting in your garage does not mean it doesn't get rotten, doesn't mean that things do not need to be fixed up and maintained. Same thing happens to your website. Now, if you do want to know where your website status is at, you want to know how your code is running, how the diagnostic of the website is going, feel free to send me an email with your website, and I'll be happy to run a free diagnostic for you. That way you'll know where you're standing, and then you'll know what to do from there. If you like the video, please like, subscribe, and share. And until next time, guys, I'll see you in the next video.